Hello everyone, I am Bets Golden. Welcome back. I wanted to share with you today a new product that I got. It is through Ranger and it's the Wendy line. I forgot her last name, so sorry. I'll have everything linked provided down below. But this all comes together and it makes stamping, cutting, and coloring so much easier and so much faster. I want to do tags this Christmas for the gifts that I'm mailing out of state. So I want it to kind of have a really cool presentation. So I want to do some tags, but I don't want to spend a ton of time doing the tags. So I got this to help me and I love it because it has your stamp set with the sentiments and then it has this stencil and I'm going to show you how to do it with, so I don't have to sit there and color. I just stencil it in with some ink and then the coordinating dies. So this is what I want to use to create the next tag. And I'm going to show you how you can quickly do some layering and stamping on a background, and then also how to use the stencil and how I line up the dies and run it through the die cup, and we'll just put that card together. So first thing you want to do obviously is you want to stamp this off. I'm going to be using dye ink to color this in. So I used the archival ink in jet black to stamp this image, and it's not going to bleed or anything like that. So I went ahead and I pulled out the die that I'm going to use on each of these. I'm just going to set these up here and we're going to go ahead and just color this in first. I'm going to be using just my Simon Hurley dye ink. Any dye ink would work for this. And sometimes it can get a little bit tricky when you're coloring in small parts of a stencil because you want to naturally use something that's bigger, but these detail little ones are wonderful. So the first thing I'm going to do for this is I'm just going to layer the stencil over the image that I want to color in, and I'm just going to go ahead and pop it down with that detail little end. I'll have it linked down below. My words today are bad, huh? And then let's do the smaller one as well. And then after you're done, make sure that you take and just wipe it off between each use, or else you are going to get the color will smear into other colors. But before I finish this off, I actually want to take some Over the Moon, and I'm going to actually kind of blend it lightly all over the place. And this is when your blending can get kind of cool. It can either get muddy or it can blend nicely. So I'm just making sure that I'm doing a light hand on top of that because I want those lanterns to have some color. And the colors that I'm going to layer on top of this are darker than within this Over the Moon. So I'm done with my Over the Moon, and now let me move on to let's do the green right here. So I'm just going to place this over like so, get it all situated, lined up there, and I'm gonna take my fake plant on this one, and this is a little bit bigger, so I'm gonna try to go in with this and just kind of hit it. There we go, that works beautifully. So as you can tell, I am able to just whip through all of this super fast. And then I'm going to do the little berries, and I'm going to use Game Over. And again, just going to use this die, just tap that right on in there. And voila, colored beautifully. And now let's finish off our lanterns. So I'm going to keep my Game Over out for this one, and I'm going to first do this large candle, and I'm going to work up just because I kind of want the base to be slightly darker. And then we're going to go ahead and do that smaller candle. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and use my Midnight Snack to color in the lantern pieces. Voila, we have this is ready to go. One thing that I like about dye ink is you can continue to add more and more and more just to get it darker and darker and darker. So from here, you're going to want to line up your dyes. And to line up the dyes, scrapbook.com came out with this new tape. I really like it. It's like a paper tape. It holds really well. Sometimes that purple tape can be a little bit pricey and it can actually rip my paper, but this has not done that. And I can use it a couple times. So I have it right here. I've torn some down. I've used it. So it's kind of cool because you can get a multi-use out of it. And then I'm just going to line this up perfectly. And then I'm going to run it through my die cut machine after I get it taped. So I'm going to tape up there and I'm just going to hit it in a couple spots. A lot of times people have issues die cutting because they don't tape it down well enough. They only get it on like one side, and then if they have to run it through twice, it shifts and then you don't get a very good cut. So I'm just going to make sure that I get that down nice and even with a lot of coverage with that tape. I ran them through my die cut machine and it die cut beautifully. So let's set that aside and move on to our tag. I am using a Manila color tag. So basically there's a yellow undertone to this. So we're not going to get the purest of colors here when I blend this out. And we're going to be layering on, we're going to do a big stamped tree. Actually, it's this one from Picket Fences. I just love this, and it's going to be a really cute tag, and we'll add in our die cuts. But I'm not going to do any masking or anything to do the background and do the stamping. I'm simply going to layer the color out lightly where the tree is and kind of avoid that area as much as possible, and it's going to just blend beautifully. So the colors that I'm using are Minty Fresh, Clear Skies, and possibly Midnight Snack. This is a beautiful, like a minty type green blue. It's really pretty, and I thought it would be nice kind of where that tree's gonna go. So I'm gonna just layer this one down first. From here, I'm going to layer on some Clear Sky, just going to blend it through. I'm not really concerned if my lines seem too harsh at this point, because I am going to spritz it with a little bit of water just to get it to move around. I just want to create kind of a beautiful background on my tag. And again, this has obviously a yellow undertone to it because of the Manila type tag that I'm using. And then I'm going to add on some Midnight Snack from here. And this I'm just going to kind of go around on the edges. Great. Going to take and just spritz it with some water, I do want it to move around, and that's what's so fun about dye ink is if you spritz it with water, definitely will move. And I feel like the colors just really soften on it. And if you wanted to stop or lift color like I'm doing right here, just put paper towel or a rag over the top and boom, that'll lift it up. You do want to make sure that you heat it on both sides to get it dry, because we can't move on to our next step until we know for sure that the tag is dry. So I'm going to heat it both on the front and then also on the back. And by doing so, it allows all that water that would have seeped through to the back to make sure it gets dry as well. Because if we just do it, we just dry on the top gets dry, but the back stays wet, which can seep through and cause some issues when we stamp and even add some adhesive. I want to take this little piece that we did, I'm going to pop it in the corner, and then I'm also just going to take this little piece that we did and pop it down here kind of off of the tag. I love to do this type technique with this because since it's not on a card or going on an envelope, you can maneuver it a bit off of your substrate and it looks really cool. I am using some pop dots just to give it some extra dimension. So I'm just going to pop this one right about there. It's kind of off a little bit, and then I'm going to take this and do more so. And again, I'm just going to use some pop dots on this one. There we go. But we're not done yet. We got to embellish this up. So for this, I'm going to take some clear dimensional, it's crystal glaze, to put right on over my flame. Liquid glass would work for this. There's a couple different clear type embellishment things that you can do for this. And I'm also going to cover the top of the lantern with it too, because that's shiny as well. And then we need to fix up our beautiful tree. So I'm going to use some holly stickles. And for this, I'm just going to go around where that dark is and just kind of fill it in. There really doesn't have to be too much rhyme or reason to this. It's not a precision thing. If it was precision, it wouldn't be any fun, and I don't think it would look as real. Like when you go in with any kind of glitter on a tree, which is not perfectly symmetrical, it's great because you can be a little bit sloppy and it just gives it a more authentic vibe. Like it's more organic, I should say, not authentic. Go. And then I also have this sentiment right here, which is have a very Merry Christmas. And just a trick, if you ever, this is a little bit too long for my tag. So instead of ditching the whole thing, you can simply just take the strip and cut between each letter or each word and then layer it out that way. And you will be able to really create a very cool custom type look. But I do have to ink the edges of the ones that I cut. And then I also have out some Nuvo crystals. I love these, the crystal gems that will be pretty to put in some spots as well. And then I have one more thing that I want to do to the berries. So I'm just going to take and just add some of these. And finally from here, I want to take my liquid pearls, which is carnation red, and just pop it on top of those berries. And voila, we have a really cute card ready to go into the mail. Didn't take more than about, not even a half an hour to make. I think that's super cute. Here's another example. This is the first one that I did. And I did just the midnight, that midnight snack, I think it is, on that background for like a moodier type deal, more of a nighttime type sky. And I did the same technique, just blended it in and then used some water to mute it out, soften it up, and lift some of the color. And then some other things I did with this set that I showed you was I created this little piece. I think that's super cute. It's just a stencil and a die cut on this piece, and then the little bow up here. Used the same colors that I used on this. And then I did another one. I layered it up and I kind of created a half type wreath thing going. And then just used some different pop dots. So there's lots of variations on this set, or on any set that has a matching die as well as stencil. It just really makes creating fast, beautiful, and fun. If you are interested in anything that I used, I will have them provided down for you below, like down below for you, for your convenience. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I certainly hope that you consider doing so. If you have any questions or comments, I love to interact with you guys, so make sure that you ask him down below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and please feel free to share with anyone you think would enjoy it as well. Until next time, I'm Bets Golden. Happy crafting.